Are you? I mean, what is your excitement level when you're about to hit a tour like this because you've been through it so many times?
Well, I mean, we're really thrilled to be able to come out and do a proper tour. The past, previous years have just been a handful of dates and festivals. So we haven't really had a proper tour since pre-COVID. So we're like really excited to kind of have a full-on headlining run. It's a lot of, a couple of great bands with us with in the summer run with Breaking Benjamin and Ginger and just coming back out on stage and have all these dates. And it's going to be exciting because, like I said before, it was just a little bit to whet our appetite. We go out for like 5 shows, come home, come out, maybe do a few more shows, come home. So to be able to do it full force and, fire on all cylinders and, get the machine going again, we're thrilled.
I was very, very surprised with the choice of Breaking Benjamin. That's a pretty they're a tough act to follow.
Absolutely. There's such a great band, so many big hits from them. And we did tour with them. We pre-COVID, we brought them out. I forgot what year it was. I'm guessing maybe 2019, I think it might have been. And they came out as main support on that amphitheater run that summer. And it was such a great time. And with the amount of hit songs between them and us, it's just a big night of for music fans that are familiar with both of our material.
I'm also very, very excited that Ginger gets to hit the road because I mean, they were supposed to do some touring and then the whole Ukrainian thing broke out. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that you're giving these guys a great break.
Well, I mean, we heard a lot of hype about them. I've become a fan of the band. I've seen some videos and heard some songs, and they sound great. They sound heavy and just very musical. And she sounds like, just the contrast between melodic and then the aggression with her vocals as well too. It'll be interesting to see. We haven't had the opportunity to see the band live yet, so it's great to bring them over here and have them be a part of this tour.
That is a great opening for one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. When I heard that Ann Wilson was on the new Disturbed album, I kind of went, oh. And then I heard the track, and she fits in there as perfectly as any metal voice you could have possibly chosen in the world. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was quite the experience. I mean, Ann's just got one of those voices to me, one of the biggest rock voices in history for female artists. And it's in an identity, when you hear her voice, it's Ann and for her and David, David as well, to have an identity to his voice. So for the both of them to, work out these harmonies and work these parts out and having two identifiable voices, complementing each other, it was quite the experience.
Well, a lot of people forget that back in the day, Heartwork considered metal. So I
Right.
so it's just in the pockets, all it is.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the part where I butter your buns a bit.
Mm.
Um, I'm listening to this with Ann Wilson, and my jaw's dropping because once again, I was very, very hesitant. I thought it was going to be honest, I thought it was going to be a subpar moment on the record, and of course, it did not end up being that. And then you come in with just the most amazing, perfect, on point solo. I hear moments that sound like David Gilmour, moments that sound like Eddie Van Halen or something. Of course, it's all you, but in that one solo, you hit just the tasteful stuff, the over the top stuff, and everything. And I'm wondering, were you intentionally leveling up because of Ann, or was it just in the moment, or how did you nail that so perfectly?
Well, and first of all, I mean that's an amazing compliment in comparison. I mean, David Gilmour and Eddie Van Halen are huge, so I thank you for that compliment. But this was I would lay the music down in the solo before we even knew Ann was on board with doing
Wow.
it. But for me, as a guitar player, I love soloing over these kind of power ballad type songs, because it brings out more emotion. And it was really just an improvising moment. I just kind of ran the track, and I didn't have anything structured out for it. It was just like, let me just improvise and feel that moment. And, I mean, I took a few passes at it until I felt like I was really digging in. But it came rather quick for me. And it just so happens that once we got Ann to be a part of the track, then it just kind of, she helped bring out, like I said, between her and David and the harmonies and the melody, just more of that emotion. So I always try to bring some melody within my soloing too, and just as much feeling as I can. And, it was just one of those things. It just kind of came together quick.
That was really the main point of what I was trying to say. The versatility in that solo. It told a story, man. It was more than, excuse me, than a guy just wanking on the guitar. It told a story, and I think that's great.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Um, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, you're about to do 28 dates.
Mm.
That's what's out there right now. Of course, there might be or might not more be in your back pocket that you're not talking about. That's fine. And we recently lost Ozzy on tour. Could you take a moment and tell people why touring is hard on somebody's body? Because they think, well, he works 90 minutes. That's what he does.
It's so interesting, because I hate to ever sound like, complaining about it, because I understand there's people that have it way harder, that have to get up at 4 a.m, that have to go shovel horse crap for a living, or whatever they do. But the reality is it's a commitment, it's a sacrifice on your body. It takes a toll on you. And it's just like, if you could imagine going on vacation, you go on vacation sometimes to relax or chill. But if you go on a vacation where you're running around with your kids and you're taking them to Disney World and you're taking them all these excursions, and then I hear people saying, man, I need a vacation from my vacation, because you're like exhausted after
Yeah.
that vacation. But after that trip, that 4, 5, 6, 7 day trip you take, you come home and you get back to reality. In our case, when we do multiple days and we go out of the country, and you travel so much, a lot of times you're going on very little sleep, if any. Sometimes we play our shows and we have after show food, which normally we don't eat until midnight or whatever time we get on a tour bus. We either drive off to the next city and wake up, however long the drive is, you wake up and you're there, and can be a bumpy ride or a noisy ride. And you could be dealing with weather, you could be dealing with traffic or accidents along the way. You could be flying to shows and dealing with delays, or just dealing with the how long it takes just to travel to the airport, sit in the airport. So it takes a toll on your body, and to do that day after day after day after day, it gets exhausting. And really the stage is that the time where that adrenaline kicks in for the performance. We live for that moment, and that really it always comes out, when you have that moment, when the stage, when the house lights go off and we hit the stage, that adrenaline comes. But all that other time in between is really just trying to recharge the batteries and be prepared for the next day. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's exhausting, but that's just part of the job. It comes with the territory when you travel everywhere to do it.
It reminds me, you didn't even mention, really the time on stage is part of the exhausting thing. That's got to be a bit like swimming, in that you're using muscles you don't ordinarily use. And then all of a sudden your hamstrings are sore and you're wondering why.
Yeah, well, I mean, I look forward to that, because I'm not a big, I don't really like going to the gym much and stuff. So that's my cardio. I embrace the hour and a half on stage or whatever we're doing to run around and build that cardio back up. So I enjoy that. But there's times when we're like on the road where we're sick and we're still performing. I've had the flu or food poisoning or anything like that. We've all been through it. And there's times on stage where I'd have a garbage can thrown up between songs, because you're sick. What do you do? The show must go on, right? I mean, as long as David's not affected vocally and he can still sing, the rest of us are muscling through it even on those sick days.
You just brought up something that I wanted to remember to ask you. Once again, this bill is stacked. You made sure that there's plenty there for these fans. Are you playing a full or abbreviated set because it's so stacked?
Yeah, I mean, we always try to spread out, with the long history, for albums we've had out for the past 23 years of material now. We try to spread it out and do a good variety of everything as much as we can. And we try to have a bit of a journey, bit of a roller coaster ride of emotions, whether we're doing The Sound of Silence or whether we're doing Down with the Sickness or something off the new album like Bad Man or Hey You. So we try to arrange our set list so there's those moments of old school Disturbed to new stuff and just give them a bit of a ride.
So you're saying the material actually dictates to how long you're playing, or how long you're playing dictates to what material you're doing? Are you going to do 90 minutes, or are you going to do 60 or 70 or
Yeah, I mean, we'll at least do 90 minutes. And it really just kind of depends on working backwards from there and like the venue curfew. If most of them are, maybe curfews might be 11 p.m. and we work backwards from there, minus the hour and a half of us, and then whatever Breaking Benjamin ends up doing, probably over an hour for them too, I would imagine. And then the times in between for the changeover, and then however long Ginger does in their set, and then what time we open doors. So it's just more about the math. It's not so much on the bands to figure that out as much as management and the promoters of what time doors are and what time they have to close, and then they just do the math to put us in there. But I would say we're at least doing an hour and a half, if not more.
wow?
Otherwise, because we have a lot of material, we don't, at this point in our career, and probably for Breaking Benjamin too, is we're leaving so much material out too, because we're lucky we have a lot of hit songs between the two of us. So we can't do them all. So we just try to do as much as we can in the time allowed.
We have just a couple more minutes left, and I wanted to go back to the new album because, like I said, there's some real surprises there that some people may not have discovered. Some people only hear you by the singles. What is your proudest moment on the record, or was that the one that we already discussed?
I mean, yeah, Don't Tell Me with Ann Wilson is definitely a big highlight and milestone for us because she's just a living legend. And I felt like a little kid in the studio when we went in with her to have her sing her parts. And that little kid came out of me. I'm just sitting there on the couch in the control room, just watching her do her thing. And after her and David worked out the harmonies, it was just something that was it was great to be a part of. But the whole album overall, these songs came together so well. We were so hungry for it, and like I said, we haven't recorded since before COVID. So that downtime of those couple years in between, we were fired up. We were ready to go. There was a lot to sing about, a lot to write about, and we were ready for a heavier album. We wanted to kind of bring back some of those old school Disturbed elements of some of the attitude and the aggression, and just heavier riffs, and kind of get back to the core of the band, but a modern day version of it, modern day production of this sound and the signature elements of Disturbed, whether it's David's animalistic moments and syncopation and just the riffs and the syncopation of the drums. We just kind of wanted to bring some of those core elements back to the forefront.
So it's not wrong to say you guys really feel reinvigorated to a degree.
You know what? I mean, I'm so hungry for this. I'm so passionate about this. I've never lost the passion for it. I think we have so much left in the tank to offer. I think, now that we worked even with a new producer with Drew Falk on this album, I have this chemistry with him in the studio. It's like almost being in a new relationship with somebody. It's exciting. It's new. And you feel young and hungry again in those moments. And, it was such a good choice to get in with Drew because that chemistry happened so quickly. And I was just on a roll musically. I have a lot of ideas in the vault ready to go for the future because I didn't want to stop. I was just kind of, we hit the ground running, and it just, the ideas just kept coming out. And so I was very pleased with it. And I think, there's just so much more we have left in us.
Wow. Look for Disturbed, of course, Albuquerque, Dallas, and hopefully they'll circle back around and play some of these mid-sized markets at some point. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time today. I wish you well with the rest of your interviews today.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Take care, man. Be good.
You too. Be well.